What is up, everybody? Welcome back for another Two Tamers talk. We're so sorry that we kind of had a couple weeks off there. We were trying to get more people on, but schedules just didn't work out. So now we're back, me and Basil.
I do have to shout out the consistency of it all because up until these past 2 weeks, I didn't even realize that those are the first 2 weeks that Digital Gate Studios has missed a Friday since the inception of Two Tamers Talk. So if you go back and watch like the first, I don't know, 40 or so episodes, it was Jesse and Jeff like almost every Friday for the whole time. There was you once, and then I think there was Jake Nito one time.
Yeah,
but other than that, it was those two fellas.
They were consistent while they could.
Were consistent, yeah. But then I mean, they, like I've said this before, they've got their own families to attend to, and so it's not always that they can just set aside an afternoon for Digimon. But thanks to the fans who messaged in the Discord at 8 a.m. on Friday, back-to-back weeks. No pod, which is sad, but very cool to know that we were like a weekly routine for some people. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, we're hoping to get back on it. We're going to try to get back in the studio. It's going to take some time, so bear with us. Something's better than nothing. Here we are.
Yeah, Jacob, how's it going?
Fantastic in the Digimon scene.
Oh, dude.
Let's see. I don't know if this is new. I don't know if we've mentioned it. I got certified judge for us.
Yeah, Jacob was the big dog. Yeah. We had both Jacobs are now judges, and it used to be if Jacob was there, great, we had a judge. If not, we basically just didn't have a judge. And like people would look to like Justin, Jesse, Jeff, and myself just because we play a lot. But we just don't know a lot of these niche rulings or the rationale behind them. So it's nice to have at least someone that knows.
There's also like a lot of rulings where like you know the right answer, but you don't know
you don't know why. Yes.
So when a similar but different situation comes up, that's when the question is asked.
Yeah, and it's like because like Justin and I are the competitive brains inside of us are like we know the rulings for the decks that we play in tournaments. So, for example, there was a question. Justin has been playing a purple toolbox deck that plays Anubismon. And Justin and I know Anubismon like the back of our hands because we played it at Nationals. We were very, very competitive in that format. So we understood the question was about like Anubismon pitches stuff and then kills a floodgate. Do you get the memory back? And we knew the answer was you do. But a lot of people don't understand that ruling. And it wasn't until you explained the ruling to someone that I understood why that was, is because of the sort of way pending triggers works.
Well, what's really funny, this is slight tangent, but this happened in a locals recently, and it was a Valkyremon Ace when a security is removed, delete something or gain DP. Well, the first thing that happens is security effect.
Or gain security attack.
Yeah, sorry, gain security attack. Well, the first thing that happens is security effect when a card is removed. Then a battle if there is one, then the card is removed effect, then a battle if there is one.
Right.
So the security was checked, and it was a Tamer. The Tamer played a Digimon. Then, because of the interactions, there was now something for Valkyrie to delete, so it didn't get the security attack.
Right. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, it's weird stuff like that, like because when Shadow Seraphi was really popular in security control, I understood how that worked, but I never thought of applying it to Valkyrie Ace.
Yeah. So, moral of the story: if you want to learn more about the game, study
Become
for
a judge. Yeah, really good.
Yeah. Other news: we got a lot of regionals coming up. You want to talk about those? I know you're excited.
I do want to talk about that. So the whole in-store regional thing until I think it was this month when it was announced where they were going to be. Up until then, it was kind of a mystery where people were like, "Oh, every store is going to have a regional, basically," and then it turned out just to be the 8 stores.
I wonder how that goes. Do you think it's like biggest player bases?
It is my understanding that this is somewhat of a test to see if these stores can act as TOs for major events in the future, because Bandai heavily relies on core, play, PPG. I'm forgetting one.
No, I don't. That's the ones I knew, I think.
And Top Cut.
Oh, right, yeah.
Top Cut. Carta Magica sometimes, but those 4 are the ones that run most of their events. And I know that part of the struggle in having some of these events is finding a reliable tournament organizer for them, because it's not simple. A lot goes into the in-person regionals. A 500, person cap regional is, it's just hard to do.
Right.
So finding stores that are able to facilitate these sort of smaller regionals, 64-person cap, maybe if it goes well, try 128, or I don't know, whatever the case may be. But I know that is somewhat of the plan, which is pretty interesting. But I think we'll just talk about it. I'm in. You're watching this. It's Friday the 28th. I am in regionals the next 3 weekends in a row. So I will be at Zulu Games in Seattle next weekend. I will be in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia at... What the heck's it called? It's called something. It's a store in Vancouver. I'll be there the weekend after that. And then, apart from the store regionals, I will be at a regular regional in Riverside, California. And those 3 weeks, back to back to back, the beautiful world of Digimon.
Yeah, we all know you're gonna do pretty good.
Well, the good news is that it will be a lot of fun. The bad news is, will I do good? That is very much up in the air.
Maybe not in this format.
So the thing about we'll briefly talk about the format. I know a lot of people are pretty sick of hearing opinions about this format, because I think they're pretty one note. It's pretty clear what is the top dog in the format. It's not extremely different from the BT15 format.
So quick side note. We were talking with our affiliate in Japan. He's over there, been visiting
James.
for a while.
The people know James.
And he was telling us, even BT18 I think they're in now, it's still Numemon.
Yeah,
Numemon's a slight lower representation in top cuts though, because decks are specifically teching to beat it. So it's either Numemon or specifically designed to be Numemon other archetype.
Yeah, and so
that's
with some
tier
of the
1 format for the next 3 sets.
With the most recent Ultimate Cut, for example, Numemon was 4 of top 16, and then the second most represented deck in that top cut for the Ultimate Cup was actually Lugomon. They're playing
wild build though.
They're playing more heavily to counter the Numemon strategy with the new Solugormon. I think 2 of them were playing Crimson Blaze, which is obviously quite strong in the Numemon. And then they are now playing Ukomon, obviously, because why wouldn't you?
Just 3.
Yeah, right. It's just 3.
2 to 3.
But the deck that actually took it was Imperial Dramon, and it was an Imperial Dramon list that was, again, very good into Numemon, because they're playing like the new Wormmon armor that's good into it. The old Pale Dramon to bottom deck 6Ks, stuff like that. And so it's an over-centralized format. Numemon is quite good into it. Armor Vaccine is still quite good. Things like that. That being said, I will not be playing Armor Vaccine or Numemon.
Because you're going to be playing EX6 decks, right?
Because I will be playing Ragnalordmon. No. Ragnalordmon will be played by me, but not at events that matter.
Mastemon?
Unfortunately. Mastemon will also not be played by me at events that matter. I do not think it's good enough. Which is sad, because those are 2 decks that I really enjoy. Ragnalordmon especially is a deck that I completely love to play. This format, I unfortunately will be playing something that is quite good in the Numemon. I'll talk about it a little bit later on my card of the week. Stay tuned. But it's a format where you either increase the speed of the deck you're playing or find a different deck.
Well, we all know what card increases the speed.
Yeah, the other hint I'll give you is an 8 Ukomon deck because obviously it's quite good. But yeah, a lot of regionals coming up. If you're a fan that lives in Seattle, Vancouver, British Columbia, or Riverside, California, and I show up to your card shop or your tournament, come say hi to me. I would love to say hi and talk about whatever. It was the only in-person tournaments I've been at is the one in Pasadena last year, which was awesome, and the Nationals, which was also awesome. So these sort of smaller events are perhaps a chance to see y'all, which would be great. In-person regionals, Jacob, on the West Coast, not in California. Never thought I'd see the day.
Well, hopefully we get more. I mean, I'd love to see some like Portland, Seattle, like the Portland Expo Center. They hold card game tournaments there all the time for Pokemon and Magic.
I didn't even know that, but Pokemon comes to Portland all the time.
Yeah, it really does.
Quite good.
All right, well, you want to talk about some of these spoilers and cards coming up that we want?
Yeah, I do.
Some of this stuff looks good.
There's been a lot of reveals. The one thing that I have to mention, because this is something that I was like joking that I want a card like this. And then they printed 6 of them actually. And they printed 2 color memory boosts. So very quickly I'll go through them all. They printed red black Garnet memory boost that has Ludomon and Zubamon on it.
Yeah, but you know it's going to be for Agumon.
No, it's for Legend Arms, baby. Wisteria memory boost, which is blue-red. So that's for like the new Omnimon Ace.
Omni DNA.
Omni Ace thing. Amber memory boost, which is yellow-purple. So Mastemon memory boost.
There's a lot of yellow-purple stuff.
Yeah, and maybe even Security Control might use it. Who knows? Grape memory boost, the most unfortunate name I feel.
It's fitting.
Green and purple. So
Grape
this is for, I guess, the Cherubimon, Terriermon,
yeah,
Lotmon thing. Sepia memory boost, unfortunately yellow black. So that's for the, I guess, Numemon Monzemon strategy, which is, you hate to see that. And then Jade memory boost, so blue-green, obviously for your Examons and your Imperial Dramons. And if this is not proof that Bandai are fans of the channel, I don't know what is.
They heard your call.
They heard my call.
Need the red-purple one so I can play, Luga and Virus Imperial.
for Virus Imperial.
Yeah.
What do you
like that?
What do you think about these?
I like them. What I really like about them mostly is like a lot of the new cards can use either color egg, but for example, like the new Vmon Wormmon stuff is blue or green. They're not both anymore because it's half of another color, and so this goes into that deck really well. And then like looking at like the Terrier Lotmon card, there's older Lotmons. It has like a inheritable on deletion gain of memory or something. Maybe not great, but there's like at least 2 just straight purple Lotmons. So now you can kind of play a little more diversity in your decks by using these old cards that you just couldn't because it would whiff on every search.
Yeah.
So, I think that's a good direction.
Yeah, I'll speak specifically about Mastemon right now. The yellow-purple one is interesting because when I first started playing Mastemon, the deck played purple memory boost because it had a purple egg. And it's like, well, you wanted to play a memory boost of some kind because you needed memory to do your plays because all of your plays were somewhat expensive. This was before Mirai, so you had no way to cheat out your level 5s. so you had to play the level 5. So you kind of wanted that extra memory to take off the edge of going into Mastemon for basically 7. But then the obviously purple boost is going to miss your Angemons, and your Magna Angemons at the time. Angemon, what am I saying? So it was quite awkward. And then nowadays you don't even like people will like you can't play. You want to play like a training or a boost. Decks were playing like the yellow base. Maybe now they go back to purple with the Nyaromon. Maybe.
But what gets me about these is the colors they chose for some of them are kind of weird. Because Jade Boost having Wormmon Vmon on it and wanting to use it in Examon, both of those decks mainly use blue eggs. Am I wrong? And blue Tamers because Davis.
It said all of them have this card may also have its color requirement met by the other color.
Okay, I thought. I missed that part.
I
thought it meant it was like you needed both, but I misread it. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's a weird way to do that, though.
Yeah, I think the idea was they didn't want to print it as 2-color.
Well,
and then you need both colors to fit
I think they wanted to put it on the worst color of the combo so that you can't grab it off training, I think is what they did.
Oh. Interesting.
That's what I was kind of going with that.
Oh, I never even thought about it like that. But that's kind of true.
Well, because I don't know about all of them, but you're playing blue trainings for Examon and probably Imperial if you're playing a training, right? Because you want to be able to hit your Davis.
I don't think they play it anymore.
If you would, though, you would probably want to be able to hit Davis and Ice Wall, right? So, and
that's pretty interesting.
I don't know about the other ones, but
that is the other question that really does come to mind. Is the question becomes are decks going to abuse a sort of
you could play 8 memory boost,
8 boost 4 training kind of deck, which is another thing that we thought of when the scrambles first came up. It's too many options to all put in the same deck.
Well, here's what we do: we just play one of each. Call it a day.
Yeah, right. It's pretty interesting, but I think this is an interesting direction because apart from Numemon and Edamon and the Imperial Dramon one, from what I can tell, these are not like tier 1 decks getting another boost. These are the more rogue decks getting a little bit more advantage because the Lotmon, like people play the Terriermon stuff with the Rapids. But you don't really see the Lotmon Cherubimon's angle with the purple.
I think it's if you're playing the 2 colors, you just swap a regular boost for these because like they also only search 3 instead of the 4. So it's also still going to be a less consistent search. So I don't think you're going to play these unless you're using both colors anyway.
This is true.
Because I think you would just stick with training and regular boost.
But I just Jacob, it's Legend Arms memory boost. It has the
X6 had a Legend Arms delay card for you. I saw it. I don't remember.
I know that card is good. It's just not search and memory. You know what I mean? Like it lets you play Legend Arms Digimon from sources.
Yeah.
Which the whole gimmick of the deck in this set is
play them, tuck them.
No, you don't play them.
Oh, the new ones don't.
You took them from hand for cost.
I didn't read them.
Yeah, I know. But this is
Bandai
search.
Looking out for you and
this is
adding
search,
decks
grab your piece, and then delay gain. The delay gain memory is what's really important.
My question here, though, is the black one, the Nume Edamon, Monzemon stuff, did that deck really need one?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Which, I mean... The hopeful part of me thinks, oh, well, what this means is they're going to take the Ukomon out of Numemon, and they're like, okay, this is the consolation prize, is that you can play a 2-color memory boost, because the old Garymon, the BT11 Garymon, is mono black, and then the RB1 Monzemon is mono yellow, and so that's why. And the deck doesn't really need memory boosts or trainings, but that's why.
But when it doesn't miss any of your cards anymore, you might.
I mean, it's quite good. So these cards are very, very exciting to me because they're some of my favorite archetypes. Like Examon, I really like Examon.
Yep.
And I put blue
Just
training
feels
in.
so bad playing any trainings or boosts.
It's like you don't even really ever use the training delay. It just helps you find specifically Davis,
so that he can find the green card.
Exactly, and now you can go down on the Davises, take out the blue training completely, put in 4 of these, and the deck's consistency is insanely high, which is cool because when that deck gets going, it's unbeatable essentially from the raising. It just doesn't get going every game.
The problem is, so it gets evade, but it doesn't get really like good protection like a lot of new decks are getting.
Yeah.
So I think if they gave us a new level 7 with similar-ish effects but better protection, meeting some requirement, I think that deck could be competitive. I think that's all it's missing.
And level 4s that aren't terrible.
Well, Examon needs to be able to be answered, right? Because otherwise you just control and lock your opponent out. But evade by itself is just not enough.
I agree.
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, the reveal. There are more reveals, and we'll talk about them eventually. But those are the things we wanted to talk about specifically, because we've got some questions, and the people want answers.
Oh yeah.
So the first one. We got to shout out Alex, Blue Wind. If you're in the Digital Gate Studios Discord, he is Basil's student on Discord, which is true. He is my protege. He's a Crossheart enjoyer, Gallantmon enjoyer, and we have similar interests. So whatever. So Alex, Blue Wind asks, long time question asker, first time watcher. So he got that reversed, I think, because this is definitely his first time asking. But what deck is Mr. Potential, i.e. what deck has if and when but never is when people talk about it?
Yeah, the way I interpret this question is like you theory craft this sick combo and then you take it to locals and it doesn't work a single
you get
time.
Crushed.
There's a lot of decks that fall in this category.
Yeah, well, I just want to kind of preface this is that for those of you who have ever played Super Smash Brothers, the newest iteration on the Nintendo Switch is called Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. And in it, there's a character from Xenoverse called Shulk. And Shulk is a sword character that has a sword that covers the entire stage. It's this great big thing. And everyone has put him on tier lists in the top 5 of their tier lists since the game has been released. And as it turns out, Shulk is Mr. Potential in that, in theory, he's one of the best characters in the game, but he just has no results. And so that's sort of the basis behind the question. So, Jacob, take it away. Mr. Potential.
Is the question kind of like what you read sounds good and then it doesn't work, or things I've tried to build? Because those might be 2 different answers.
Either answer is fine. I know my answer.
I tried to build Chaos Gallantmon when we got it in, what was this, EX4, EX5?
EX4? Yeah.
I tried to build a Chaos Gallant deck. And because, it's like, okay, this sounds so cool. I built a stack with like Megidramon, which has on deletion play a Gallantmon, and I delete it to play a Gallantmon, so now I have 2 Gallantmons. In theory, that sounds so good, right?
Double Mega.
Does not work at all. Did not work a single time. I built it, I brought it, I was super hype. I tried and tried and tried, never worked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's like, it's weird because there's so much Gallantmon support in so many different avenues. There's the red-purple line in the EX sets.
Well, and it had all the you and opponent mill, so you would mill yourself, right? So that you would get the Chaos Gallant and trash so that you could play it out for free. And then you had Gallant Crimson mode to trash a bunch of opponent security after you mill them a bunch.
That's what I'm saying.
In theory, this is going to work.
Yeah, there's the mono-red line. There's the starter deck. There was a new line in BT12. There was the secret rare in BT13, which is really strong. Gallantmon Crimson mode is one of the best level 7s, point blank, period. But it's just one of those decks that never really came together, despite all of its support. I I have an answer,
Go
and
for it.
the people aren't ready for this answer, believe it or not. But the actual answer that I have for Mr. Potential is Bloom Lordmon. Um, Bloom Lordmon has very, very little results for how strong the deck is. And the simple reason being is that the deck is extremely hard to pilot. At a low level, Bloom Lord is insane because low level players will not answer boards properly. And if you do not answer a Bloom Lord board, you will lose because they will use the the second stack of the memory gain inheritables to completely overwhelm an opponent. At mid level, Bloom Lord starts to struggle a bit more because if you make a
People have ruin
mistake,
modes.
because people have ruin modes, if you make a mistake in the sort of early stages of the game, turn 2, turn 3 on Bloom, and you lose a board state, 99% of the times you're going to lose that game because it'll be too hard to come back. And then at high level, Bloom Lord falls off extremely hard because those sort of micro situations that you make mistakes on are punished 10 times higher.
Yep.
So Bloom Lordmon is just a deck that does not have a lot of representation at high level because it's so punishing. Good players will really, really make a suboptimal Bloom Lord line get completely crushed. I think in the BT15 format, Bloom Lord was extremely strong. It had a good showing into Numemon, which not a lot of decks can say. The yellow vaccine matchup was okay. Red hybrids very scary but manageable with cards like Quartzmon and Quantumon. And Lilymon Ace was quite good in that matchup as well. Mirage, a lot of good answers to Mirage Galgamon. A lot of ways to ditch the hand. It just there's a lot of things about the Bloom Lord matchup or the Bloom Lord deck that are extremely strong, but putting it all together and putting on a decent tournament run is extremely hard on that deck. You have to play a combo heavy dynamic deck for 8 rounds in a row at a high level is extremely difficult to do.
Another thing too is the ratios in that deck are not standard, so the brick potential is a little higher than usual. You'll get those.
It's true.
Which 2 out of 3, but
yeah, I really like. Obviously I am one of the few players in the world that can pilot Bloom Lord at a high level.
Perfected it, right?
It is
using that answer as a kind of a template. I kind of slightly, you're going to disagree with me, make an argument for Lugamon. The deck, if you read all the cards, it's like this is just OTK's turn 2, turn 3. But then it's like you have those games where like 2 games in a row you don't find EG, then you're somehow missing one of your 14 level 4s, and then or like you don't find Lugas, or you get all 3 of them in your hand and nothing else. I don't know what it is. The players who have topped with that have some really good luck, I think.
They're freaks.
I mean, there's a lot of another thing like at a low level, playing that deck like your first couple times, you're gonna think you're doing everything right, but the suboptimal plays add up very quickly and make a big difference that you just don't even realize until you do something different one time. You're like, this is fantastic.
Yeah, Justin was very interested in the deck when after the national tournament, because he played against a Lugamon player.
And that player was really good
at the national tournament. He ended up getting top 16 or top 8. He was an extremely strong player, and so Justin picked up the deck after nationals, and we thought very low of the deck going into nationals, just because we thought only one Lugamon. Whatever, but after playing versus him and kind of unpacking the deck a little bit more, it's actually an extremely high skill cap deck.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, the lines where you open
Yeah.
Lugomon, Analog
The deck
Youth.
wins on itself, on its
So
own.
the games that you open up the nuts, it's extremely strong. But the games where you have to work your way out of a bad hand
Mhm.
is really where
That's when it makes a
that
big difference to know.
that's where the good players really shine on the deck.
Mhm.
Um, so I think Lugomon's a great answer, and the interesting thing about that in regards to Mister Potential is it's really starting to reach its potential.
Yeah, with
I
the new
think
SOC stuff and
there's
the
new
new
SOC stuff, and people are really starting to get competent on the deck, which is
Yeah.
awesome. We'll move on to our next question from JC, a local player. So JC says, "Hey, I've been attending the locals at Wayward, and you guys have been a blast to play with. Thank you, JC. This is for players trying to break from intermediate play to competitive
I
play.
want to start this question.
What are some key things you should look for when building a competitive deck? Is an original deck list just the main way to go?"
All right, I want to answer this question with a story. We were in Cali. I don't remember if it was the regional or Nats, but we were in Cali, and we were at some card shop. And Basil's talking to the guy behind the counter, and the guy played One Piece and was thinking about doing the One Piece tournament that was going on at the same time as the Digimon. And he was just asking Basil questions about playing at a competitive level. And he was asking, like, I don't know what deck to bring. And Basil just looks him in the eyes and just says, play the best deck. And the guy looked so put off by this. It was hilarious.
At the time in One Piece, it was when red was the deck to play.
No, this was an L, I think.
Oh,
wasn't it? I don't know. One Piece meta as well.
It might have been the blue black thing too.
I think it was before Sakazuki.
Anyway, I remember.
It was just so
funny. I remember
funny.
talking with someone because it was like One Piece meta was so stale at the time.
It was, yeah. No,
I was like,
he looked so put off by your answer. He did not like that answer. But it's kind of funny though, because tying this back into now, at the time and like going into Nats, you kind of were kind of on that bandwagon, but now you're kind of branching out. So I do want to hear like what your answer is now.
Yeah. So the reason and. This is like a random like egotistical podcast episode, so I'm sorry for that. If you are an intermediate player trying to break into competitive play, the easiest bridge to do that is the top deck in the format. That is your Numemons, that is your Yellow Vaccines, your Mirage Galgamon, and Red Hybrids especially. Very simple decks that if you master their lines are quite good. Right. Mirage is just a deck that I think is quite simple. Divide your opponent's hand by 4 and go from there. So I think that is the main way to go. The reason that that Justin and I have moved away from the more meta decks is we've really carved out a niche for ourselves as anti-meta players. And that's sort of where our biggest successes have come from. Our best success. Justin and I kind of pool our results together because we build decks together and we think very similarly. I topped in BL's format with Crossheart, which BL's was an extremely strong Crossheart was an extremely strong anti-BL strategy. Because you didn't mind the on-deletion effects because you just save your guys. So in the tournament, I went XN1 and 1 with Crossheart in BT12. I went 4-0 and 1 into Beelzemon on the day. In BT13, Justin and I played Black War Greymon OTK in the Shine Greymon format. And we were a combined 45 and 8 in tournament play.
That's a good stat.
So we were insane in that. In the Anubis format, we were playing anti-Anubis with triple Nidhogg, double Floodgate, quadruple Floodgate, and double Ruin Mode. We were specifically trying to win the Anubis Mirror specifically. And then most recently, playing a very anti-Nume Bloom Lordmon list where I went X and won an Ultimate Cup. So once you reach that competitive level, that's when you can kind of start straying away from the top decks and kind of build your own path. But I think when you're first getting into it, go to the top deck in the format, get very good on it, and then take it to a tournament.
Yeah,
that's
and my just little add-on. Net decking is a tool, but it is not the answer. In my personal opinion, you have to make the deck your own some way, somehow. If you look at a list and you're like, this ratio is kind of weird, some things work for some players and just don't work for, for you or for me or for whoever. Like, this guy's playing 3 of this card and it never works for me, or I don't get when I need it. I need 4. So things like that, keep in mind. I mean, copying a list card for card is fine to start, but
then go from there.
Just because somebody won with it doesn't mean it can't be better for you.
It's true. It also depends on who, their matchups and etc. Card games are fickle like that. Like at the most recent regional, a blue flare list got 3rd, and maybe he just didn't see Chikurimon all day.
People aren't playing.
People aren't playing.
Yep.
We'll move on to our next question from Fox. If you could pick one Digimon archetype to have a color change like what Imperial Dramon did in EX3, going from green-blue to red-purple, what archetype would it be and why? It's pretty interesting.
Kind of a tough question, but...
it's a tough question.
Do I answer that based off lore stuff? Because I think they did pretty alright lore-wise.
Well, if you're going to answer it lore-wise, I don't have an answer for you.
If you want to know just what I want, I mean, I'll take a purple Sakuyam online. That's fine. But that's not happening.
Purple Sakuya. That'd be actually crazy.
Yeah, man, like mills a little bit and recycles all the plugins from trash. That would actually be busted.
Yeah, I would want them to revive something that's just floundering in a new way.
Things we got in set 1, set 2 that you just don't see anymore. I don't know. I mean, we are getting more stuff like that, right? Like Nidhogg came out in green. Now we're getting a new purple actual line of Nidhogg, right? And we're getting Lord Knight Ace, which is going to be for a purple deck.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
Yeah, I don't know, but they never completely swap the colors. They always add a color,
Yeah, the thing about swapping the colors is pretty tough, because it's would I really want a green War Greymon?
Someone
it's pretty interesting, because I know there's green Agumons, because they are
they're the Tyrannos.
They're for Tyrannos, yeah. But that would be pretty cool. I wish I had a better answer. I'm trying to think, because I wouldn't if they released a blue.
Good, sorry.
If they released a blue Machine Dramon, I would be pissed, because it's just not for the Machine Dramon deck.
But so to go with a new line and a new color, it would be a different strategy. It wouldn't be the same
that's
deck.
what I'm saying. Yellow Bloom Lordmon.
Outside of a lore standpoint, I don't know how I could answer this question. Because it would be a lot of the lore effects stuff is they did something comparable in the show, so that's their card effect, and that fit the best into this color, right? So when they did the Virus Imperial, I thought the red purple was kind of cool because it was a separate line of him being evil, you know. And we don't really see a lot of these complete changes. We see maybe adding on stuff when the Agumon and Wargrey went from red to red-black, they added some Digivolve, some blocker, some protection stuff.
Yeah, right.
But to completely change strategies, I mean...
It'd be hard.
Right. So it would have to be a whole lore thing.
Sorry, Fox, we don't have a good answer for you. All right. Jack J, pulling up our last question. This summer, Brazil is about to receive its first regional. From the outside, I assume people see Brazil results and decks all as a part of Latin America, but Brazil itself has a community of competitive players. It's safe to assume that the top 16 will be made of players who travel to nearby countries to participate in tournaments and pilot the meta decks. You might you might expected, with addition of Beelzemon, really people still enjoying this year. I think Beelzemon is strong. Now, question. Any competitor that will aspire to reach this top 16 will first need to go through an ocean of rogue decks. And trust me on that. The Red Hybrid Widows, Shine Greymon Loyalist will be there. Alongside any surprise you can imagine. How do you prepare for decks you didn't playtest enough or are outside of the meta? And what other tips would you prepare outside matches? Interesting.
So how to prepare for meta or for
rogue
decks?
So rogue decks. It's so interesting because we were just talking about this in the Wayward City Games Discord, RE kind of Ukomon. And people were saying rogue decks are as weak as they've ever been into the general meta because you're either too slow into Numemon or you don't have a way to effectively deal with Magnamon X antibody.
But some people will take that 50-50. They'll beat one and lose the other and hope to dodge it.
Rogue decks are very interesting in this particular format. In terms of Latin America, I did want to mention that Latin America has some very, very dedicated loyalists. And I know you bring up Beelzemon, which is interesting, but Latin America, I don't know about Brazil specifically or which country this is in reference to, but Latin America has one of the best red vaccine bird players in the world. And he had an extremely strong result in this format. And he made there was a Twitter post and it might have even made it to Reddit or something, but a breakdown of the deck list and the matchups and everything. And he's been playing Red Avian's vaccine since like BT11 when we got the Phoenixmon with the Akiho, and he just loves that deck. How to prepare for anti-meta or for rogue decks? Honest answer,
playing every matchup ever.
The honest answer is that there is no way to do that, and that is an unfortunate answer for a lot of people because they want to be prepared for everything.
The whole point of a rogue deck is to catch your opponent off guard. They weren't ready for that matchup, and that's at least a contributing factor to why you win.
Right, I mean, and so if you are going in thinking, well, what am I gonna do if my opponent flips Tumblemon and they're playing Craniamon Tribal? The reality is like, well, if you're playing Beelzemon into Craniamon BT3, you're probably gonna lose the game because it's gonna be a 20k blocker that can't be deleted by effects, and that's not so good for your Beelzemon strategy. But the reason that I would say is to not worry about it too much is that if you're entering a competitive tournament, and if this is the first Brazilian regional, people are going to show up and show out for it in very strong ways. The answer is pick your deck and make it as good as you can and be as comfortable on it as you can. Go into game one. They flip something crazy. They're playing Mother D Reaper, Black Hybrid, Tower Defense, and you have to be ready for that. Game one, try to learn as much as you.
Over there?
Huh? Yeah.
Are they best of 3? Okay.
Yeah. Try to learn as much as you can about the deck as quickly as you can, because if you're reading every card and game one goes 30 minutes or 35 minutes and you lose, you're at best going to draw, and at worst, you're going to lose 1-0.
But you do need to figure out their strategy. You
do need to play your strategy, because sometimes if you're playing against a rogue deck, your strategy will beat them naturally, because they're playing a rogue deck, and their deck isn't very good. But sometimes their rogue deck combo is specifically good into your deck. You need to figure out how to alter your strategy into that rogue deck. That's my best advice I can give on that.
Well, hopefully that answers the question. I don't know.
For outside of matches, bring granola bars and bananas.
Yes.
And water.
Yes.
Granola bars, bananas, and water.
Water
That's what
bottle,
you
fill
need.
it up every round, even if it's half full, fill it every round.
Yeah.
Have snacks. If you get a
You
bye, get lunch.
you need that energy going into round 8 and 9.
If your
You'll
opponent
need
no
that
shows,
energy.
get lunch.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean, and make sure you sleep, get caffeine if you
yeah.
need it. Whatever you
The
gotta do.
obvious
Be
things,
aware.
but have a backpack with granola bars,
Mhm.
banana, and water bottles. That's my best advice.
All right, well,
Well,
that's all the questions we have.
yeah, that's all we got, Jacob. So
I know,
pretty
it's
good ones.
only
Thank you so
3
much.
weeks. 3 weeks, we only got 4 questions. Come on, guys.
Yeah, please get in the Discord. We're gonna get on a more consistent schedule back here. I promise we will.
And we're working on getting back in the studio.
And that's right. And so get in the Discord, throw some questions, or just say hi in any of the general chats.
Yeah.
So show us what you got going on. We'd be happy to see it. You got a card of the week, Jacob?
I sure do. Do you want me to go first?
I do.
All right, this is going to be, for me, this is a card that I thought was bad and was at the time when I said that, but now my opinion's changed. Fans of the channel may know I love Sakuyamon, and I changed the deck in a big way using EX4 Kuzahamon. When that card came out, it was not good. I'm sorry. If you think I'm wrong, you can think that. But at the time, when we got the card, it didn't really do anything. But now that is not the case. And the reason being is because of aces. Kuzahamon, when you use an option, plays out a level 4 or lower or a Talmon from your sources. So in the tribal deck, you can play out your level 4 or your level 5. And you can set up for either Magnange Ace or Valcase, whatever you have in hand. And you always have an answer what your opponent's doing because of that. So you can't do the whole like looping between maid mode and Sakuyamon anymore, but you can still maid mode on top of any yellow level 6. So that's Valcase and Kuzahamon herself. So you go into Kuzahamon, you play out your second body. That's set up for an ace. You can go into either maid mode, use an option, put it on top your security for recover, and interrupt your opponent's board, or you can go into either like Omni Merciful, delete some stuff, or ruin mode, clear a board. And now Sakuya, the deck that I've always played as this aggro combo deck, has now become kind of a control deck. And this is what I brought to locals, and it's actually doing really well. It still has, consistency problems, being such an option and tamer heavy deck, and B, being a list I literally threw together the morning of. But this surprised me in a good way, because I just had this inspiration. I was like, ace cards are insane, especially in yellow. I mean, Valcase needs to be at least restricted.
Yeah, that card is
that
ridiculous.
Card needs to be gone. But if it's not, it's going in Sakuya, and I mean, I think this is
Magnange Ace has been good for ever.
Yeah, and those are just both really strong ace cards that this deck can really abuse, because you build your stack for cheap or free using your plugins and your memory gain and all your normal stuff into your Kuzahamon, do whatever you want to do with that, and spit out either your 4 or your 5. If they have an on-play, do it, because the X4 lines did. And then set up to ace, or to make your opponent think you're going to ace, or just have an extra body for a check if you need it. And so now the deck's just this really cool control deck. Anyway, that's my rant. What you got?
I like it. Well, Jacob, I tidied up my bulk at the end of the BT14 format. A good friend of mine at the start of my career was just getting out of Digimon. And he said, "Look, I've got all this stuff from BT1 to BT10 to now. I'm done with the game. Would you buy it off me for a couple $100?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'd do that." And so I had, just piles and piles of cards and like 40 copies of Baihuman SR and just shit like stuff like that. And so I parsed it down in BT14. It all fits in a nice 3x4 box of the long card holders. And part of what I did to parse it down was I got rid of vanillas, because vanillas basically didn't have a home in Digimon at this time. But I needed a couple vanillas, Jacob. and I needed them, and so I went to my local card shop, Wayward City Games, and 25 cents a card later, I have copies of Vajramon and Sendiramon. 2 to Evo level 5 purple Digimon. But not only that, Jacob. These cards are Devas.
I see where this is going.
Those cards are Devas. That's all I have to say about them. Purple Vanilla 2-cost Evo Devas. Stay tuned.
So is that those are your cards of the week?
Those are my cards of the week. Sendiramon and Vajramon. BT10 and BT13 vanillas.
All right. I can dig it. We'll see where that's going. Well, I think that's about all we got.
That's all we got.
Thank you everyone for tuning in.
Thanks so much for tuning in, y'all. If you've made it this far, give us a like, a comment, and a subscribe. We will, like I said, we'll be back with a vengeance just soon enough. But thank you all so much for
Basil
watching.
will finally get a mic, and I'll get an actual camera.
All right, guys. We'll catch you in the next one.
Bye.